Welcome to the Hyperpolyglot Activists Learn Languages Make a Difference. My name is Dr. Carlos Diego Lopez, and today I am joined by Dr. Santi. Welcome.
Thank you so much for having me today.
All right, great. So, Santi, first question, as always, for those who are not familiar with your background, what is your language profile and how does it intersect with your research interests?
Well, I've studied quite a few languages. My first language is Spanish, as I was born and raised in the Canary Islands. And
Mhm,
then, I'm a philologist. I studied English and French at university, and then I've studied quite a few different languages um, by myself. So, in general, I could say I speak fluently Spanish, English, Chinese, French, Portuguese, Italian, Catalan Neapolitan, and many others, but those are the ones I speak best.
mhm,
And then I conduct research on whatever I find interesting at the time.
mhm,
So far, I did my PhD on the critical theory of autonomous language learning. Okay, so
mhm,
in simple terms, the politics of learning languages by yourself.
mhm,
Um, and and critical theory, for those who don't know about it, is just a sort of approach to whatever social thing you may want to analyze. And what critical theory does is it it analyzes how power influences whatever social thing you want to analyze. So in this case, how power affects education, language education. And always with this sort of there's always this implicit, sometimes not so implicit intention of promoting social justice, right? We study in critical theory, we study
mhm,
um, uh, in power to understand injustice and correct it, right? So that's
mhm,
the
mhm,
general idea. And because of this, in my last articles, published articles and plans I have for future research, I've sort of drift
mhm,
towards minority languages
mhm,
and how to use autonomous learning as a way of as a way to go about language activism. And that's
mhm,
also, well, that's how my languages sort of have recently come. Collided or
mhm,
uh, with my research interests. So I've
mhm,
studied a few minority languages, again, Catalan, Neapolitan, Romani. Okay, so that's an important one because I did
mhm,
publish an article analyzing the revitalization of Romani in Spain.
mhm,
What else? I tried to study Euskera, Basque,
mhm, mhm,
Tamazight,
mhm,
Berber,
mhm.
Tamazight, I
Yeah.
say. Um, and yeah, so that's what I've a bit that's how recently
Mhm,
my languages have sort of become part of my research.
mhm. All right. So two things about this. So I had the pleasure of reading your PhD thesis, which I found
Oh,
very interesting and
thank you very much.
stimulating. And now that you mentioned how your research has evolved or branched out into autonomous learning vis-a-vis minoritized languages, I wanted to ask you, is autonomous language learning the same when you're trying to learn a mainstream language such as Mandarin or Spanish,
Mhm.
versus when you're trying to learn Romani or Tamazight? Can you really be as autonomous in both cases, or do you need to contact, say, the community of speakers or
Mhm.
the institutions more in one case or another?
That's a great question. So first of all, we gotta uh, understand what we mean by autonomous, right? By autonomous, we do not mean studying in an island entirely by yourself, okay? All learning is social. Even if you never talk to anyone, if you
Mhm.
study a language, you are probably reading books someone wrote,
Mhm.
right? You are going to be watching videos someone recorded. Okay,
Mhm.
so even if you're only working with materials for self-study, you're not really self-studying. You're studying
Right.
through a different technology.
Mhm.
In a way, you are communicating through technology, um, not in real time, but um, yeah, through these materials. N Now, once we understand that, then I can tell you, yes, it's completely different, right? Mainstream languages, they have a lot of support. They are widely used online, but and offline. Okay,
Mhm.
the books are published. Everything is written and done in those languages, which
Mhm.
often are not often. I mean, pretty much always they are the national language, or
Right.
at the very least they are co-official, right? So they have a political power. Um, Again, if you study languages that lack that uh, political power, then you run into many different
Mhm. Right.
obstacles, right?
And in that sense, I can see a stark difference between Romani and Tamazight, right? Because Tamazight has received, and notwithstanding the fact that in numerical or statistical terms, it isn't spoken by the
Mm,
overwhelming majority of say, Moroccans, it is nonetheless everywhere in the landscape, right? And there are laws that
mm,
have facilitated that versus Romani, which you can hardly see in the Spanish landscape, for instance, as you're driving on the
mm.
highway. So, how do you see that situation in both cases? And could you please explain what Romani is for people who are not familiar with the language, which may have misheard you as having said Romanian or something like that?
Okay.
What is Romani?
Yeah. Romanians usually get very upset about people confusing them with Roma,
Hmm.
and for very racist reasons, usually. Well,
Hmm.
for those who don't know, the Roma, okay, Romani people, they are what have long been called gypsies. Okay.
Hmm.
In English, we do not say, or at least we try to change the use of this word. We try to do not use it, to not use it basically because it's become a slur. Not in
Hmm.
all languages, like in Spanish, gitano, at least in Spain. It depends how you use it, so, and they have taken pride in the label.
Yes.
So they have what do you call it? They have reclaimed that sort of
Yes. Judy Butler.
reappropriated.
Judy Butler talks about talking back.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Yes. Hmm.
So the whole idea of the N word, right? That
Yes.
kind of
Yes.
process
Yes.
of
Hmm.
reappropriation as resistance, cultural resistance.
Yes. Hmm.
Mm. So yeah, in English we prefer to refer to them by their endonym,
Hmm. Yeah.
Roma. The
Yeah.
people, Rom would be just one male, no,
Hmm.
Rome, Roma, or the um, community, and Romani, the adjective.
Hmm.
Now, I mean, the case of Romani and Tamazight is similar in many different ways. Okay, these are largely marginalized communities. They are diasporic. They are, for the most part, disenfranchised. Um, so you could say, I mean, Roma, I mean, they are all over Europe, Russia included. Some in the Middle East as well. We find Roma in Northern Africa and in the Americas. Okay, and there are many different, um, what would you call it? Not ethnicities, but different kinds of Romani right? Like gypsiness, not like in
Right.
Romani we say
Hmm.
Romani pen. So many different tribes, maybe you could say, or clans,
Yes.
okay?
Hmm.
And they are not really cohesive. They're
Hmm.
And in in the Maghreb, okay, the Northern Africa, there's all kinds of different tribes of Tamazight people,
Hmm.
and they are also not necessarily mm, well, now there are efforts, okay? There are efforts to bring together all Roma people and to bring together all Tamazight
Hmm.
people. Um, but again, it's they are often discriminated against. So when it
Yeah.
comes to their languages, it's a bit different because in Europe there has been, think about it in this way. In Europe, you have a lot of PhD candidates, okay, in
Hmm.
linguistics, wanting to have something original to write about. So for the
Right.
longest time, uh, researchers have taken an interest in Roma communities, especially in Europe.
Hmm.
So, and their history is very well documented. Well, very well documented. The scholarship has also been very, very biased, and
Hmm.
scholarship in a way has become a way to uh, construct an image that's not uh, real. Uh,
Hmm.
right? So it's a different kind of discrimination, right? They talk about the Roma, but they do not include them in the process. They're just talking
Hmm.
about them as subjects and all the
Right. Right.
prejudices for
Right. So
over
what
centuries.
is Spivak said about who speaks on behalf of the subaltern, right?
Exactly, and for the longest time they have been extremely biased.
Mhm.
So yeah, scholarship has not been. There's a lot of it, but much of it is very
Right.
biased and very
Right.
racist and whatnot. And And when it comes to Tamazight, there's also research. We know about the different varieties and whatnot, but yeah, maybe less support, especially because I mean in Europe, many at different points in time, from yeah, sometimes different organizations or even states in Europe
Mhm.
decide that they want to help out the community. Like they don't help too much, but from time to time, there are efforts and attempts to help. So that's where you get some projects that come about, then later on they went out, right?
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah.
But there have been lots of efforts and uh, also to standardize the language, okay?
Right. Right.
And in Africa, that it's not so much the case, okay? Just
Mhm.
because usually those countries are not as developed, economically developed
Mhm.
as
Mhm.
Europe, or in some cases like Algeria, for example, uh, the Tamazight issue is very, very, I mean, it's a sensitive issue. The state regards them as separatists,
Mhm.
and they are very much suppressed, their entire
Right.
culture. But then for you have the example of Morocco. I don't
Mhm.
know if you or the audience knows the history, but I mean back in the day, the entire region of Al Maghreb, Northern
Yep.
Africa, was habitated by um, Tamazight
Mhm.
peoples, right? And then they were conquered, colonized, and basically Arabized by the Arabs. And
Mhm.
I don't
Mhm.
know what century now, but yeah, a long time ago. And ever since then, they have become usually second-class citizens in most countries.
Right. 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 You're making reference to the expansion of Islam in the 8th century, right?
8th century
711
exactly.
entering the Iberian Peninsula and then get progressively
Hmm.
Islamicized and Arabized. Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, and then so you mentioned Morocco. So because Morocco is the furthest away, I mean it's the furthest away of all Maghrebian countries. They had the least influence, so that's where you find the most conservative dialects. Okay, the ones that have
Mhm.
been uh, Arabized the least.
Mhm.
And now because Morocco is, I mean, it's a colonial country, is very, very complex socially.
Yep.
And so it seems like they have decided that as a nation state, they want to move towards a more Tamazight identity. not
Yeah.
so much an Arab identity, because I mean, for the longest time, they are not even recognized as Arab, real Arabs by the
Right.
rest of Arab countries, whatnot. And they also, geopolitically, they are more aligned with the United States and Israel and whatnot. So they sort of seem to want to change their national identity, and that's why now they're promoting more and more uh, Tamazight languages, identity, and the standardization of the language. But again,
Right. Right.
same as in
Yeah.
Romania, when it comes to standardization, I mean, it's very hard because communities, there are
Yeah.
many, they don't really understand each other because dialects are very different. Sometimes there are even different languages, okay? Like in the
Mhm.
case of Tamazight,
Yeah.
there are subgroups that are completely different. And sometimes they don't like each other. That's very common, these
Yeah.
diasporic ethnic groups. And so how do you bring together all of these people? Well, it's a long process. Like in the case of Romani, in Morocco,
Which,
there's a hmm?
yeah, Santiago, brings us to our next question because I want to keep
Yeah.
this under 30 minutes.
Oh yeah, sure.
But which would be, we talk about the languages becoming official. We've talked about the full equivalence between one nation, one language, one state, and that
Sure.
brings us to the issue of critical polyglot status. So, how would you say that in under 5 minutes that your research interests intersect with critical polyglot status? I know you've read the book, you've written a review about the
Hmm.
book, for
Yeah.
which I'm grateful. What topics would you say from that book most resonate with your own research agenda?
I mean, it resonates with everything, but in different ways, right? So, first, I mean, you and Usman, you guys talk about um, mm, how language learning very political, right?
Hmm.
So everything everything I've talked about in my research, everything I've done research on that has to do with the politics of learning,
Hmm.
that there's a clear connection there.
Hmm.
Also because so yeah, I talk about, for example, one article I talk about self-immersion. Now this idea that's so popular on YouTube and social media, self-immerse in a language. As you guys, I mean, I even quote you guys. I quote your book because I talk about how self-immersion is it's become a commodity, right?
Yeah.
And how the entire polyglot matrix is an industry and all of that. So yeah, in that sense, if you want to analyze language and language learning, you have to talk about how it is a commodity that it's within an economy, a neoliberal economy on top of that, and it's also influenced by all kinds of ideologies. So, I
Mhm.
mean, that's something you guys do I mean, in your book, and that's something I do. I did in my PhD thesis.
Mhm.
Just that you focused more on the polyglot community and those learning spaces, and I focused
Yep.
on autonomous language learning. But it's basically the same sort of critical analysis.
Right.
And
Mhm.
then, yeah, recently I've been researching how to turn autonomous language learning into a form of language activism, right? So
Mhm.
again, there's that connection. How do we turn our personal learning of languages into something useful for society, right? And in
Mhm.
that sense, I think that we are very much aligned, at least our
Yes.
research
Mhm.
efforts.
Mhm. Indeed. And last but certainly not least,
Hmm.
all of these language profile and research interests are probably converging into publication plans, right? Which is also important in HYPIA research. So I wanted us to talk briefly about what those publication plans look like right now in your mind. They might
Hmm.
end up being slightly different, but do you have any book projects in mind, any journal articles, something that you wish to publish and on which topics specifically?
Well, I would like to continue conducting research on basically critical analysis of anything having to do with languages because I
Hmm.
mean that's what I've been doing so far and I enjoy it. But I also want to do more research on language learning. Mm, right now, I have an article under peer review.
Hmm.
Um, it's about the autonomous language learning of Tamazight as a way to, I mean, in the Canary Islands, right, as a way
Oh.
to sort of resist against all the, mm, I mean, all the colonial legacy, right?
Hmm.
Spaniards came here, imposed their, I mean, basically, we we suffered an ethnocide. Okay, our
Hmm.
language disappeared. Languages, we had languages, right, in each island and whatnot. So our languages were basically killed, and I mean, ever since our reality has been a post-colonial um, society and economy.
Right.
And yeah, so some people are relearning the language by themselves. I mean, it's hard because we lost ours, but you know, you can learn some other Tamazight,
Hmm.
live in Tamazight varieties and whatnot. And I was investigating how that that could be unique around the
Hmm.
world,
Yeah, it is. Hmm.
this case, and how that and I mean how that could be interesting and enlightening for other struggles around the world. Maybe in similar cases, there are so many islands around the world, right? And
Hmm.
many of them share a common history of colonization
Yeah,
and language endangerment, whatnot.
yeah. And
So
then,
I'd like to publish that and yeah, when you guys told me about the project, my hope would be that there would we would be able to create some nice, interesting synergies that would
yes,
uh,
definitely.
yeah.
And I know that Canary Island studies is an up and coming field within Western academia within the US, for instance, in the
Oh,
Modern Languages Association. There are often panels specifically about the Canary Island and post-coloniality.
oh,
And I'll put you in touch with some people whose research might be of interest to you. Yes.
thank you.
Hmm. And any other publications in mind, or are you just waiting for feedback on that specific one?
I mean, the right now, as you know, I finished my PhD last December. So now what I've tried, and during my entire, um, uh, I mean, the entire process of writing and finishing my PhD, I was quite isolated, just because
Hmm.
of my personal situation. And now what I've been doing is trying to meet people and see
Yeah.
how we can collaborate in different ways. So when you
Right.
ask me, what are your plans? Well, my plan basically, yes, that one article. Also, I have an article, uh, I haven't finished another article, seeing how literature may be a way of language activism.
Hmm.
That's for the future as well. But yeah, the general plan is to keep on meeting people and see what interesting things may come about, right? It would be nice
Yes.
to converge uh,
Yes, definitely.
different lines of research and create something that right now I cannot tell you what it is because
Right.
that's the originality of it. It has
That's the
to
whole point of connecting. Yes.
exact. So right now I don't know, but that's my hope
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
something interesting will come about.
Amazing. And I think you'll find that that will be the case in HYPIA
Hmm.
Research 2.0 and new synergies and publication opportunities will come about as a result. So thank you so much, Santiago, for your time. And I look
Well,
forward
thank
to
you.
collaborating with you. Thank you.
Sure thing. Thank you.